Yo, what's good? We back at it. It's your boy Sid at the Scales Will Prevail. Following through with another video. This video is going to be the sun in the first house and what this means. Let's start off with, of course, the sun and what it represents. When we think of the sun represents your vitality. We could say life force. We could say ego, self-expression, your sense of self or the self. We could say that. It's also going to represent the ego and identity, and it represents your father as well too. The house, of course, is going to show us where you're shining at, and the sign will tell us how you're shining in terms of the expression of the sun, right? Now also, this sun is going to tell us about, we could say, your father in terms of the dynamic with him. So now we need to talk about the first house and what it represents. The first house is the physical appearance. It's your outlook on life. It's also how others see you as well, and it can represent, I would say, like some astrologers, they'll say it's your personality, but I more so like to say it's the way you act, right? The reason being is because this is an Aries house. This house is traditionally, the first house is ruled by Aries, and also Mars. So when we think of Mars is more so about action, and the word inside of action is act. So I normally say that this is how you act. Even though some will say it's your personality. I tend to look at the fifth house as your actual personality or just self-expression, as this is the house of Leo and your sun, the fifth house. So that's normally how I look at it. But everybody's prone to doing things their way. Now, let's get back to what it means when the sun actually comes into this first house, right? So the first house, suns, is similar to having a Leo ascendant because the sun actually rules over Leo. Right, so normally when you have the sun in the first house and a Leo ascendant, since it's similar, you'll be more, I would say, outgoing, life of the party type, fun, strong-willed, charismatic. You can attract a lot of attention because this is like, the sun is the center of everything. I always like to say it's like the center of the solar system. So it's like this is coming to your house of how you act, the energy you're giving off. So people will see this in you, and this is the energy that you radiate off of you, as this is the first house, right? Now, I say normally also too because, for instance, if you have other planets that are aspecting or like making conjunctions to your sun sign in the first house, this can change. For instance, like if you have Chiron here, this can be a spiritual wound with how you're coming off in terms of it being in the first house, and also this could be a spiritual wound with your sense of self-expression and your identity, basically. If you have Saturn making a conjunction, and a conjunction just means it's sitting by the planet, then this will restrict your personality, right? It would almost make you, since it's in the first house too, 9 times out of 10, it would also make you have like a Capricorn type of energy to how you come off. This would be similar to having a Capricorn ascendant, right? So we also have to play that into effect too. And Capricorn is more reserved, more practical, more serious, more business-like, things of that nature. Other aspects, like say if Pluto is in the first house sitting right by the sun, this can kind of change that dynamic, because normally we would think that this person, they're very outgoing, they're the life of the party, they shine, they radiate, they can draw a lot of attention. But if you have Pluto in the first making a conjunction to your sun, this makes you come off as more private, right? Because when we think of Pluto is the furthest planet from the sun, so it represents an element of darkness in terms of how this person will come off, right? So it could be that. It can be, if you have Neptune here, you could be a bit unclear with your sense of identity, even your ability to shine. It could show forth for not knowing who you are to a certain degree if it's in the first house and it's making a conjunction to your sun. So these are just some things to think about. So nothing's set in stone. We got to look at the whole chart in totality. But normally, just by itself, this is going to be like a person who's outgoing, entertaining. You may even think about being an actor, actor, actress, being into the arts, things of that nature. Now, if we want to talk about your father dynamic, normally this could show that. So I look at it like the sun is basically, whatever house it's in is going to tell us what the father was centered around. So this can show that your father was centered around you, since this is the house of self as well, right? So it can show your father being close to you, to instill confidence or self-esteem, maybe encouraging you to self-express basically and to be noticed. Of course, like I said though, this just all depends, because I've seen a chart where a person had, like, for instance, their sun in Aquarius in the first house, and sun in Aquarius off top means that the father's a bit detached, you know. So this can change the energy, you know what I mean? We always gotta look at the signs as well too. And I've also seen, for instance, if someone has like the sun, say, in Aries, and it's intercepted, meaning it's not connected to a house cluster, so they might have, like, that would mean that the energy of Aries is in the first house, right, with the sun coming through, but Pisces will be on the first house cusp, on the ascendant. So their Aries energy, normally of being like outgoing, expressive, initiating, aggressive, is missing, so they can come off passive basically. So that's just some things to think about, which can change the chart as well in terms of this person's energy. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the video. I hope this was informative and a bit of a different or unique approach, and y'all have a good one. Peace.